So the day's finally here. 9 months worth of training ish. And the day has finally arrived. I'm now in St. Neots and it's the day before the race. So let's talk about it. So we drove down to St. Neots last night on the Thursday. We've arrived a couple of days earlier because I have a little bit of a track record of being quite forgetful. I'm sure there's going to be a dictionary word for this called a Hugoism, where you always end up forgetting something. This isn't just exclusive to triathlon, but there has been an occasion where I went to a triathlon and I completely forgot to bring a helmet.
You are made of stupid.
So that wasn't my finest moment. And given my habitual forgetfulness, now I don't take any chances. So I packed 3 times. I've got a checklist and I've ticked everything off. To make sure that I've got it. I've done a little video for you so you can see all my race day gear. So starting off top here, I've got just normal swim stuff because I'm going to go do a swim in the race area the day before. So I've just got some normal swim stuff. Got a swim cap as well in case they require that. My goggles are in there. For race day, I'm going to have my wetsuit on. I have my tri-suit on underneath. Got some sandals to take me to the water's edge. I'm going to have a heart rate monitor on. I don't know if I'm going to put that on for the swim or not. I think I probably will, just in case it does work. But I have had problems with Garmin not saving workouts because it keeps looking for an external heart monitor. I don't want that to happen again. I am going to be recording this on multiple devices, so it's not going to be a big issue if that does happen, but just might not be optimal. Obviously, I'm going to have some socks. And then I come on to the bike leg, because that's everything I need for the swim. I'm obviously going to have a timing chip, which I don't have now. Then I'm going to go on to the bike leg. So off comes the wetsuit, tri-suit stays on, socks go on, chamois cream goes on, bike shoes go on, race belt goes on, helmet goes on. I've got a multi-tool for on the road, glasses with the lenses on. Got 2 750ml bottles, which will be on the bike, and then I got a spare 500ml, which I might keep in transition. So that's good. I've got my nutrition for today, which is the day before the race, to make sure that I don't have anything unexpected. I want to keep my routine going as much as possible. And then this is my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I've got stacks of gels, more than I need for my fueling plan. I've got a mixture of some with caffeine. These are 100 milligrams. And then I've got some without. And then I've got chews as well. Some of these are flavors, mint and lemon. Some of them are original. Originals are fine, but common thing you hear, because you're having so many, as you can tell, like there's absolutely loads of these, is flavor fatigue becomes a real thing. I've got a mixture of flavors, a mixture of textures, so hopefully that'll be fine. And then for hydration, these will be what I take, but I realized that this was all I had before, and it's not enough for race day. I've got these, but these are less than less than 1/6 of the strength of these. So I'm would have to take a lot of these. I'm not going to take those. That was just as a backup. Alternatively, I could have just opted for popping some sodium capsules, but I've chosen not to do that because I haven't done that in training. I'm going to stick with these. I've managed to order some which arrive next day delivery, so I've got plenty for race day, which is all good. And then for the run, I've got this Omega Beast. This is a 300-gram flow gel, which is just 10 of these in one. It's going to go into this specially made bottle, this soft flask, which monitors how much carbs you've eaten. My strategy here is to have about maybe like 30 grams, maybe 45 grams each lap that I do of the run leg. So going into transition for the run, I'm going to change my socks out, nice and clean. I've got my running shoes here. These are not my Ultrafly from Nikes, because the Ultrafly from Nikes have a huge gap missing on the right side of the ankle because of how my gait is. Yeah, I've noticed it in my last few runs. So I'm now going back to my training shoes, which are much more cushioned. They're not as fast, but I'm familiar with them and I'm comfortable with them. So sticking to that. I've also, as an insurance, got a spare running outfit and a hat there, just to be prepared for all conditions. So yeah, well, that's all my race day stuff. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. That's really good. I've not felt this excited about a race in the past, so that's, yeah, a positive thing. But it's not without its nerves. Have I done enough? Yes, I'm at my peak, but could I be at my peak 3 months ago? Am I too confident? Things are, yeah, you can never tell how things are going to go. It's a very daunting prospect doing one of these things. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that I can hit my times. So, in the perfect world, I don't care about the swim too much, just don't burn out. I would love to do the bike in under 7 hours. I would love to do the run in under 4.5 hours. So, that would lead me with around 13:13 time for an Ironman, which would be really impressive. I'm not saying that's going to be very possible, but that's what I'm hoping to aim for. But I will be flexible depending on the conditions of the day. And that's the big variable that I'm thinking a lot about at the moment. That's the weather. It's been very on-off rain at the moment, so that's not good for the road surface. I'm really worried about slipping around, but I am going to be on road, so fingers crossed that'll be good. There won't be any puddles covering potholes that I'll end up going over. So I'm going to trust that the people have done their job and checked the road conditions, made sure they're all safe. The big worry for me, though, is the wind. Every time I seem to check the Met Office's weather forecast, they are saying that the crosswind is getting stronger and stronger. Now we're seeing gusts of over 50 kilometers an hour. That's going to really push me across the road with my big not disc wheels, but my big rims, deep rim wheels. I don't think I've trained in that. That's not something that I can predict. Not something I could avoid. That'll be something I'm going to have to react with. I do have the course shape on my side, which is going from all directions. So therefore, this headwind will also be a tailwind for some parts of the ride. So maybe that'll go into favour. I've got some supporters coming down. Like I said, Emma and I came down yesterday. So she's going to be at the racetrack with me, course, whatever you want to call it. But I've also managed to rope in some family as well, which is really nice. So I've got people coming from all over the country for that. I've got my dad coming into town. I've got my brother-in-law coming from my brother as well. Yeah. So it's going to be really nice to see them. Looking forward to being able to see them at the finish line. I've still got a little bit to do though. I've got to do a check over on my bike. Everything has been fine, but I want to be sure. I want to leave nothing to chance. I've got time to react to any problems that occur, so going to do that. I'm also going to go down and pick up my registration pack, check in, because I've got to collect my timing bracelet and things like that. I'm also going to do a little bit of a swim, just to make sure I'm happy with wetsuit and water conditions and temperature. Better get on it, really. So, catch you in a bit. So registration all done. Done a little recce on the course, so I know where to enter and exit the water and get familiar with everything else. Tomorrow my mind's going to be going 1,000 miles an hour, so I don't want to be tripping up on any of those basics. So it's always good to get familiar before you actually get to the site. So Hugoism of the day. I've turned up to the race to transition and I've lost one of my running shoes. You gotta laugh at these things. It's Hugo!
Go Hugo! Hold on!
This Hugo, this is me before the full distance triathlon. I'm Hugo and I've just finished a full distance triathlon. Right, so it's been a little while since I've finished the race. Apologies for that, but I've been having quite a busy week with my birthday and everything and going away on holiday. So I now can actually finally record and edit my race report. Yeah, let's start at the beginning. The morning. I made a bit of a silly error of giving myself an extra half an hour in bed, thinking that sleep would be a performance enhancer. But that extra half an hour in bed, I don't think was very negligible. And I didn't have enough time to set up and transition. A very key point of this was when I got started to lay everything out in the transition area at the start of the race, I realised that I didn't have one of my running shoes. My mind just went into panic mode. Another competitor came over and was like, okay, take a deep breath. Don't panic. Don't worry. What size shoe are you? And they were trying to give me a spare pair of their shoes, but unfortunately they were the wrong size. But I did have my beautiful assistant Emma on hand to go back to the accommodation and collect the shoe and return it to me just before race started. So I originally planned to have a morning swim to get acclimatized to the water and check all the gear out, as well as setting up my full transition. But I didn't have any time for that. I got called into the race briefing while I was still doing my wetsuit, putting my wetsuit on and get my goggles all calibrated. So that didn't happen. I got straight into the water, and before I knew it, the race started. My strategy for the race swim was to stick with the pack, to try and stay in their wake and try and be a bit more energy efficient from that. Immediately, though, my goggles came off because I hadn't had time to test them out in the water. So I had to spend time putting them back on, and that meant that I lost the pack. So that strategy went to the bin straight away. My strategy for sighting was to use the swim straight feature that comes on the form goggles. I calibrated it, did a whole head movement, yada, 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 and everything seemed well. And it worked well for the first 20 minutes, but it wasn't perfect. Basically, it gives you a compass bearing. Great. I sighted, that worked. But I didn't account for the current in the river. I did check out the day before. I didn't see a very strong current. I thought it was going to be fine. I made a mistake there, so I didn't account for the drift. What led to was me going into a boat, into a tree, through some plant life. It was problematic. After 20 minutes, though, the swim straight says, sight for safety. Good idea. But then it would inconsistently ask me to do that. Like sometimes it would be 5 seconds, sometimes it would be a minute, sometimes it would be however long, random intervals. And I think this is probably because it lost its calibration and it doesn't let you carry on using the compass feature until you've sighted for safety. So that was quite irritating, actually. I chose to ignore it at some points because I knew I was zigzagging. When you hit a boat, you know you're not going in the right direction. I would try and sight, but this is where my lack of training for sighting came in, and I was just losing all momentum to sight, and it was quite frustrating that I would get into a rhythm and then lose it just to find out where I was going. My coach did point this out to me, and I did practice it once, but I was too reliant on swim straight to think that was going to be okay. So, yeah, not great, but I feel okay about the swim. So then came on to the bike, and this was where, as I've already mentioned, the conditions were so horrible that I didn't even know how I was going to do. I just thought, forget about target times. It's just about completion. I think a lot of other people had that mindset as well. To give a context of how bad these conditions were, 30% of the people that entered didn't even turn up for the race. And the 50% of the people that did start the race didn't finish the race. So that was quite a significant number of people that didn't want to do the bike during these conditions. The gusts were at 50 kilometers an hour. It was quite wet, so quite slippy on the cornering, and yeah, not great day out cycling. But you know what? I just went in with it thinking I'm just going to do the best I can because I don't have a plan B. This is plan A. This is what I'm going to do, and if it gets too much, at least I can say I've tried. But immediately when I got on the bike, I had a problem, quite a notable problem actually. My power meter wasn't working, so I didn't know what effort level I was putting through the pedals, and I needed to know that so that I can make sure that I don't burn out before the run. when your power meter doesn't work, your cadence meter doesn't work as well, because I've got a crank one, which means it's 2 and 1. The cadence was my backup method or mainly my primary method to make sure that I wasn't pedaling too hard and not burning myself out. So that was less than ideal. I didn't know how to put it back, get it back online. I could have probably stopped at the side of the road, but this has happened in training before, and I didn't know what to do then. I didn't. I definitely didn't know what to do on race day. I've heard sometimes it can be the rain, and in my training it did come back on its own. So I just kind of went with that and thought, yeah, it'll come back to life on its own. Let's leave it at that. So what did I do for my pacing? Well, I listened to my body and I listened to my heart rate. Two things that work well for me in training, because this scenario did happen, like I said, in training. So I was glad to have that experience to be able to fall back on. Yeah, I thought, okay, I'll stay in zone 2, zone 3 area and just listen. How hard do I think I'm working? What's my rate of perceived exertion? It was good. It was actually really good. I feel like I was probably better than what I was. If I'm focused on numbers too much, I think then I could ignore my body and be a slave to these numbers. Going to rate of perceived exertion and heart rate, I think was actually quite good. But there was a other notable problem, was that there was a noise coming from my bike, and it was quite small at first, so I thought it was probably like some grit or something on my wheels or whatever. And I didn't really pay enough attention to it. It was kind of drowned out by the sound of the water being kicked up by my wheels. So I didn't really think it was that significant. But when I got to about 20k left of the bike leg, I realized that the sound had got really loud and I was really worried about my bike. So yeah, I stopped and I had a look at it and I realized, oh, my front brake has been rubbing this entire race. So I was really kicking myself, and it was actually fairly significant. It wasn't something, but I didn't know how to release hydraulic brakes the roadside, so just release hydraulic brakes in general, to be honest. Yeah, so I had to just push on and do that last 20k. I've got this far, so I knew I could push on, and hopefully I didn't spend all my energy overcoming that. But let's talk about the route. The route was absolutely amazing. I loved it. It was, as I've already shown before, it's an out and back at 3 different points, and then you do that twice. You're passing a feed station 6 times, which is where supporters can be. And I had my family come down, and it was really nice to see them. It gave me a real boost of motivation and energy to see them. I had little nephews coming down as well, and they were fully involved with everything, and it was great. I loved it, and especially seeing as it was quite wet for a spectator. It's like it's an extra bonus that they were so dedicated to come down. So I was very touched by that. When I set up my transition, I divided my energy supplies to be what do I need on the bike immediately, and then to get me to the first feed station. And once I got to the first feed station, I can stock up on any gels that I'll need. That I didn't get right, and I ended up going quite into the red quite early on in the race, and that was a bit of an oversight by myself. This came back around and bit me in the backside, because to counter that, I thought, right, I'm going to oversupply. I'm going to put as much as I can carry onto the bike. It's not going to make that much of a difference. I need to make sure that doesn't happen again. Well, I stuffed too much in my pockets, and all the gels that were in my tri-suit jersey pocket at the back end up exploding, and I just got sticky mess all going down my backside and on my phone. And yeah, it was a very uncomfortable, disgusting experience, to be quite honest. But yeah, sorry, the route was fantastic. Out and back was such a great system, because it was very easy for navigation. It was dead straight lines, no junctions to go through, except for when you turn around. That's it. Marshalling was no real requirement for that unless you're at the turning point. So that was fantastic. And going out and back meant that you knew what hills were coming up. And there were a couple of hills. I didn't pick up on this when I did my recce of the routes, but they were short, but they were, enough to get you out of the saddle and to, really grind those gears. So going out and back across all 3 ways and doing 2 laps meant you felt very confident on second lap. And I was, really enjoyed that. That also helped with the headwind and the tailwinds that, were big concerns. I did get blown around quite a bit on the bike. I didn't get blown into any traffic because thankfully it was quite quiet at that time. But, you know, if there was a big Arctic lorry going past, I might have a few worries about that. But these were countryside roads, so you wouldn't expect to see those kind of things on those roads. So then came on to the run. The run is where things started to unravel a bit. I did a bit of a mistake at the end of the bike. I thought, okay, I'm on the bike, my stomach's nice and still. I'm going to take on extra gels so that I can carry on running. I can just run straight away. And yeah, that was a costly mistake. So I ended up taking more carbs than my body could handle. I trained up to like 80 grams of carbs an hour. Well, I went up to 120, or no, I went to 100 on race day, and my body just shut down and went, nope, you can't do that. And this was like big flags, like, what do I do now? I knew that I didn't want to quit because when you're on the run, you've already done the longest part, the bike. You've already, like you're probably like 7-8 hours into the race at this point. So you've only got to do a marathon. I know it doesn't sound like a lot. No, that sounds like a lot, but relative to the whole race, you've done the lion's share of it in terms of time. So you don't want to think about the exit at this stage. You're close to the finish, I think, than you are at the start. But I think people will view that differently. So yeah, I started feeling sick, and I just didn't know. I couldn't take on any fluids. I couldn't take salts. I couldn't take on any carbs, and I ended up going very deep into the red. I was walking for probably about the first 2 hours of it, and that's really, your mind just goes into despair of like, I can't do this. I don't know how I'm going to come back. I do want to say that I never thought that I was going to throw in the towel. I was so determined, even if I had to walk this whole marathon, I'm going to do it. I don't care if they have to shut up the race. I'm going to do those laps. I'm going to do it on my own time. That was, thankfully, my mind never went to that level, but it was difficult and painful to push through this. A couple of hours in, my stomach had settled. I was able to take on some gels. I had a 30-second lie down. I had a change of clothes as well. None of this is very optimal for race performance, but at this point, it's more about perseverance and getting back to a run than it is to try and get a PB. I did manage to get running again, which was really good to be able to say. Yeah, I pushed on and I did complete the race. So I did had to dig really deep, and I was so surprised that I went to such a difficult place that I thought I couldn't come back, but I did. And then I was just motivated by the fact that I'm going to be able to keep going. I'm getting closer. These laps are going down and down. I've only got like half an hour left of running, and then I can be done. Then I'm over. And it's like you're motivated by the surge of adrenaline. Like, it was amazing. And I was so happy to be able to cross that finish line. And I now have a Odyssey medal. Yay! And it's got a cool little spinny thing. I was going to wear it for this video, but my mic's there, so that would have been a horrible audio. But yeah, let's talk about the times. So that's what we're all here for, right? So the swim, I did relatively well. I did better than expected. I did my pace of 2:16. I had a target time of 2:20 per 100 meters, so that was really good. My downfall was the sighting because I swam 4.1k instead of 3.8k. This meant that my overall time was 1 hour, 31 minutes, 57 seconds. Had I done the correct distance, I would have been 125. So, yeah, still happy. Training let me down. Hold my hands up to that. The bike, now this is where things got really good, really interesting, because despite all of those horrible things that happened, I did really well on the bike. I had a target time of 7 hours, and I just threw that out the window when I saw the conditions. I thought that's never achievable. Let's not focus on that. Well, yeah, it went well. I listened to my body, and yeah, I smashed it. I did an average speed of 26.8 kilometers an hour. I think my target was 25, and that would take me under 7 hours. I did it in 6 hours and 41 minutes and 30 seconds. This was 45 minutes quicker than anybody else in my age category. That's how quick I was. I wasn't the quickest, doesn't matter. I absolutely killed my target, which was fantastic. everyone was worried that I'd overcooked myself. I didn't feel like I had until the stomach issue that came around. And that's where things kind of changed. So the run, I already mentioned that I did a 2-hour walk on that marathon. So it's no land speed records there. I did this in 5 hours and 55 minutes and 46 seconds. So that's still a PB for me. Nothing impressive though. I wouldn't say I'm going to be winning any age groups anytime soon with those kind of times. Overall times, because the overall time came out as 14 hours and 19 minutes. I had target time of 13:30, but 14:20 is fine. I'm happy with that. There are things I could definitely improve. You're always going to have things you can improve on. But it was a fantastic, I absolutely loved it. I loved the day out. The course, the organisers, the marshalling was absolutely fantastic. I felt like I had a fantastic day all round. It seemed like it was a good day for some of the supporters as well, because England were playing in the in the quarterfinals, and they had a big screen up for all the spectators to be able to watch that. They had food stations and everything, so that was good for them. I didn't catch it when I was going around. I was too focused on my own run. I was at the point of like, I've never been to this level of exhaustion. So, but I just want to also give a big thank you to all of the people at Odyssey, but also my supporters. Thank you very much for the people that came to the race, my family, my dad, but most of all, like my wife Emma. She's been absolutely pivotal for me being able to do this. It's been so super helpful with trying to keep meals on the table when I'm out training. She's doing the extra dog walks. She's giving me that time to go away at the weekends to like do 5-6 hours training sessions. Whilst I did the running, she did the supporting. It's very difficult to do these things on your own. I think she just did a cracking job. So big thank you to her. But again, also got my coach. So thank you very much for the words of wisdom that you gave me, because that really did go through my head a lot on race day. And I wish I had more time to work with you, and I hope we work together again in the future. The bike fits, that was super important to me, because I would never have been able to achieve anything close to those bike times with any level of comfort without that bike fit. So thank you very much for that. What's next? So I've had a week off. Oh, I said I had a week off. I rested for a few days. My legs were very sore, but by Wednesday I was like walking properly. I've enjoyed my birthday. I've almost done like a lap of honor where I've gone to visit family and friends and be able to tell my story to them. So that was really great. Did a 10K and I've done a couple of swims, which has been really nice. But you know what? I've been so focused on this race. I don't want to plan anything yet. Yeah, I want to enjoy this rest. I want to think about what would I like to do in the future. Maybe it won't be anything like an Ironman right now, because it's too much training. I need to repay the debt of being a good partner and being able to take the weight off her shoulders, because she's been carrying a lot. So I need to be there for that. So my priority is going to be rest. Rest as in not doing training. Still going to do exercise, but not doing training. But yeah. Thanks, guys, for watching my journey. And hopefully this will be an inspiration to some of you guys to be able to do your own Ironman or full distance triathlon. Ciao for now. Bye. And yeah, hopefully this will be a inspiration to some of you to do your first Ironman or full distance triathlon. So that's me for now. As always, keep on trying. Ciao for now.